reality. Have you ever been in a natural disaster? Do you know how that would affect you or the world around you? Today, our group is going to explain how natural disasters can impact you. I will explain how the landscapes are affected. Lisha, how the natural disasters affect your health. Chad, how they affect children. And lastly, Brooke will explain how they affect the first responders. Natural disasters are rather common. Why? Because they can come in so many forms and strike so many locations. Whether the disaster be drought, flooding, hurricanes, forest fires, earthquakes, etc. They all have an effect on the landscape hit. The environmental impacts that occur have linked to the natural disaster. With earthquakes, the effects can be felt with both immediate damage and the additional disasters that can take place. A natural disaster can have ripple effect, as seen with flooding and hurricanes. A forest environment can be affected in many ways. It is not all that uncommon to have multiple types of natural disasters decimate a forest environment. A great example is with the Winchu 8.0 earthquake of 2008 that caused a particular type of landslide. There are areas in China undoubtedly hit hard by this earthquake, which led to over 15,000 earthquake-triggered landslides, according to Chin Ran Dong 2012. In one county alone, analysts indicate that around 192.6 square kilometers of forest were damaged by landslide triggered by a Winchu earthquake and its aftershocks. VIN 2010. A forest environment that takes years to regrow. Another environment easily damaged by natural disasters are wetlands. Valuable functions are the result of the unique natural characteristics of wetlands, providing fish and wildlife habitats, storing floodwaters, maintaining surface water flow during dry periods, EPA 2017. On the other side of the coin, natural disasters that negatively impact wetlands are flooding and coastal storms. Some of the implications of such damages are increased flooding, erosion, subsidence, and liquefaction, according to Kessler 2009.
Secondly, I'd like to tell you how natural disasters can impact your health physically and mentally. Have you ever been in a natural disaster? Every year, millions of people are affected by natural disasters. Serious injury or death can occur from a natural disaster. Overcrowding from displacement can cause communicable diseases, although the risks are very low. The earthquake off the coast of Japan in 2011 was the largest recorded, although it was the tsunami afterwards that had the most devastation. Can you imagine losing your home, all your personal belongings? On my way through to Eau Claire, I drive by the Baron Chatek area, and I can see firsthand the impact a natural disaster has had on people's lives. The most damaging hurricane in U.S. history was Hurricane Katrina, and it has a lasting effect for some survivors. Exposure to a natural disaster can impact your mental health. Immediately, it's the traumatic exposure to the environmental conditions. Fear, anxiety, sadness, grief, and shock can even set in. Do you know anybody that has been affected by a natural disaster? Mental and behavioral health start to emerge as people are trying to recover and rebuild and move forward. Those impacted directly experience the most impact, followed by those in close contact with the victims. Women and girls are affected more adversely than men and boys. If children are present, stress increases, marital stress increases. Children suffer more severe distress than adults. There is evidence that substance use can increase following a natural disaster. In a study of Hurricane Katrina survivors, 1/3 of the displaced has increased their tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana use. Domestic violence increases. Victims have feelings of hopelessness and despair from losing their sentimental positions and economic uncertainties. Depression is among the most common mental problem. Taking every day, one day at a time, is essential for disaster care. Each day is a new opportunity. Focus on what is important, let go of what is not, and try to move forward and grow personally.
One thing about natural disasters that often gets overlooked is children. But children are one of the most vulnerable populations when it comes to natural disasters. Children are affected by natural disasters because their sense of normalcy is altered and they lack the emotional ability and maturity to effectively cope with the challenges in the aftermath of a disaster. When natural disasters occur, children need to deal with problems such as being forced from their homes, not getting to see friends, being separated from family members, missing normal routines such as school, and having to deal with the fear of uncertainty like that is a very big deal for a child. Compared to adults, significantly less research has been done regarding post-traumatic stress disorder in children affected by natural disasters. However, some studies that have been done have concluded, for example, hurricane exposure in children often results in post-traumatic stress reactions such as depression, anxiety, and some behavioral problems. One interesting find from the study is that the onset of a post-traumatic stress disorder in a child actually occurs normally between 9 and 21 months after the event has occurred. Another study done at a 2-year and again at a 3-year mark after Hurricane Katrina found the top 3 results in affected children were breakdown without recovery, followed by school problems and financial problems or financial worry. One of the keys to helping children deal with the process of a natural disaster or a disaster of any kind starts with the child's support system, which are usually the parents or the parental figures in the child's life. It has been found that if a parent's coping skills are diminished, the ability to support their children can also be diminished. On the other hand, if a child is doing well, it is often a sign that the social support systems are intact for that child. If you are a parent or someone who cares for a child, it is important to evaluate your emergency plans and continue to update them as needed. And when appropriate, you should include your children in the planning process so that they know what to expect. It is also important as an adult to make sure that when a natural disaster happens, if you need support or assistance, ask for it, because helping yourself will help your children.
Lastly, I'll be explaining to you the growing recognition of PTSD in first responders and counselors due to natural disasters and changing events. With this, when natural disasters happen, it brings in a large demand of counselors to help people cope with what's going on and why, like helping them understand their feelings on why they're feeling the way they are about certain situations. Counselors use professional knowledge and skills to provide crisis counseling, screening, mental health interventions, and emotional support to disaster survivors and other response workers. There's 4 dimensions of this: awareness and understanding of emotion, acceptance, able to engage in goal-directing behavior when experiencing negative emotions. They explain the ability to monitor and modulate emotional reactions. They help people recognize why they're feeling a certain way and explaining to them what that feeling means and helping them understand everything. It really helps if somebody loses a loved one or their house is damaged, or there's so many things that can happen. So we need counselors to help with PTSD, but when PTSD happens in counselors and first responders, there's also other ways to help people. There's also other ways for them to help themselves and other people to help them. So with that, we have explained how natural disasters affect the landscapes. We talked about how they affect your health, children, and first responders. I hope all the information that we have provided helps you gain better understanding of how natural disasters have a huge impact on human life and nature. Thank you.